Oyez, oyez, oyez. Silence is commanded by this honorable commission. All those having business, draw near.
Thank you, and at this time you may be seated. I've asked you to be seated at this time as we prepare ourselves for our invocation and our inspiration. And when the inspirationist indicates that he's ready for prayer, I ask that you restand and we will do the prayer, and then following the prayer, we'll ask Commissioner Lockett that he lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Today we have with us the Reverend Carlton C.J. Holdeman, Jr., who hails from the beautiful city of Brunswick, Georgia. His journey began with a Bachelor of Arts degree in Criminal Justice from Savannah State University, followed by a profound spiritual education at the Interdenominational Theological Seminary, Turner Seminary in Atlanta, where he earned his Master's of Divinity. Currently, Pastor CJ is diligently pursuing a doctorate in ministry from Payne Theological Seminary. He takes great pride in being a member of, you can get in trouble right now, Alpha Gamma chapter of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. He's happily married, right, and the proud father of 4. Pastor Holdeman, we invite you to come to the mic and lead us with your inspiration and your prayer. And it's so good to have you here in the hostess city of the South. We getting you as close to home as you can, but we're so glad to have you and being in the pastor of St. Philip, AME on the Boulevard. All right, so the mic is yours.
Thank you. It is truly an honor and a privilege to stand before you on this wonderful day. I thank God for those who allowed me to be here. I do have an assignment, and I'm going to do my assignment. Very simply, as I woke up this morning and I gave God thanks, I asked my wife, what do I say to a group of influencers? What do I say to persons who impact and have invested in the great city? And then the Lord raised the question to me. He said to me, God said to me, what does the Lord require of thee? And the message is simply this: to do justly, to love mercy, to walk humbly with God. That's our assignment. To do justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with the Lord. But then he also shared a word with me that I'm going to share with you on today, and then we're going to have our invocation, inviting the Holy Spirit. He said to me, remind them to look out for the lot. Look out for the lot. What is the lot? I'm glad you asked. Matthew 25, verse 31. The lot is the least of these. Look out for the least of these. When the Son of Man comes in his glory, and with all his holy angels with him, then he will sit on the throne of his glory. All the nations will gather before him, and he will separate them one from another. He will, as a shepherd divides his sheep from the goats. And he will set his sheep on the right-hand side, the sovereign side, but the goats will be on the left. Then the king would say to those on the right-hand side, come, you blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For when I was hungry, you gave me food. When I was thirsty, you gave me drink. I was a stranger, you took me in. And I was naked, you clothed me. I was sick, you visited me. I was in prison, you came to see me. Then the righteous will answer him, saying, Lord, when did we see you hungry? When did we feed you? When were you thirsty? When did we give you drink? When did we see you a stranger and take you in? When did we see you naked and clothe you? Or when did we see you as a stranger? Or when did we see you sick or in prison and come to you? The king will answer, I say to them, surely I say to you, inasmuch as you did it to one of the least of these, my brethren, you did it also to me. Let us pray.
Let me stand.
Our Creator, our Ruler, our Redeemer, our King, we thank you for this day is the day that you have made, and we shall be glad and rejoice in it. God, I ask now, in the matchless name of Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior, that you release a spirit of service, leadership, that you release a spirit of grace, peace, love, and joy to each and every individual that make up the Chatham County Commissioners Ministry. God, we know that you're able to do it because you're able to do exceedingly and abundantly above all we can ask or even think. So right now we just say thank you. Thank you for the leadership. Thank you for the protection. Thank you for the servanthood. Thank you, God, for everything. But at the end of the day, thank you, God, for your son, Jesus Christ, who died on the cross for us and was raised up that we might live and have a blessed life. Hear our humble prayer and our petition in Jesus' name. Amen.
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 Commissioner
God bless
Martin.
you and keep you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I pledge allegiance
To the
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pastor, we are not able to pay you, but we want to give you the certificate of our appreciation for being here with us today and for just being your first time here since you've been assigned to St. Philip. We want to welcome you to the city and welcome you to the vineyard of work that we are in. And we just hope that we are partners in endeavor to do God's will. Thank you again so much for being here with us today.
Thank you.
Roll call.
Chester A. Ellis, Chairman.
Present.
Helen L. Stone, District 1, Vice Chairman.
Present.
Kenneth A. Adams, District 8, Chairman Pro Tem.
Present.
Melinda Scott Hodge, District 2.
Present.
Bobby Lockett, District 3.
Present.
Patrick K. Farrell, District 4.
Here.
Tanya Milton, District 5. Aaron Whiteley, District 6.
Here.
Dean Kicklider, District 7.
Here.
May I have a motion from the body to excuse Commissioner Milton as she is absent because of death in the family?
So moved.
Second.
Properly moved and second that Commissioner Milton be excused. Are you ready for the question? Please cast your votes. Okay, thank you. At this time, I'll call on Commissioner Hodge, who will introduce our youth commissioners who are with us today.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This morning, I have the honor of introducing our youth commissioners who are in attendance, a program that is creating exemplary global citizens. We have with us Erica Butler, a senior at Savannah High School, and also Noah Harris, who's an executive member with the Youth Commission, and she is a senior at Johnson High School. Thank you, ladies, for joining us today.
Thank you so much for being here with us today, and we invite you to please partake of our proceedings. If you have a question or if you want to make a comment, just raise your hand, and if I miss you, one of the commissioners will get to it and bring it to our attention, okay? But we invite you to take wholehearted part in what's going on today. Thank you. At this time, we'll call on Ms. Kramer, the Assistant Manager, who will take us into our proclamations and special presentation.
Good morning. We have several bright and outstanding employees here to honor, and I'll ask Mindy Ramsey, our Benefits Manager, to come forward.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
thank you for joining us as we celebrate and give gratitude to the employees of Chatham County who are celebrating milestone work anniversaries. And I will once again be blessed and do as I did last time and take inspiration from the Reverend. You said something that touched me that I can relate directly to these employees. You used the word impacted and the word invested. So these employees that you share the row with this morning have greatly impacted the lives of the citizens of Chatham County, and they have invested their entire careers or most recent years of their careers for the citizens of Chatham County, and collectively that would be 70 years of service. So we are very, very thankful to be able to show our gratitude to them today. First, I would like to welcome up someone that I was able to greet on the day of their service anniversary. Please welcome Vita Hill with 30 years in our finance department.
Y'all bring the group up. There's a group of them here from finance,
group.
right?
Finance knows how to show love.
Yeah. Let's gather them all in the picture.
All girls.
Oh, yeah.
That's so funny.
No, wait, she got to be in the picture now. Hold it, hold it, hold it. Yeah, don't take it without her. There you go.
That is so funny.
You protect the money, so I'm gonna get in there. All right.
Next, we're celebrating Kenneth Williams with 20 years of service to juvenile court. Lieutenant Zachary Kicklighter with 10 years of service with our sheriff's office.
All right.
Also with 10 years of service to our sheriff's office, Sergeant Charles Singleton. Chatham County thanks you.
So all of you are a member of Team Chatham. The commissioners, we applaud you every day for the wonderful job and work that you do. Continue to keep up the good work. Thank you. At this time, let me recognize our constitutional officer. The sheriff is here with us. All right. don't have any chairman's items nor commissioner items on our agenda. No table items, which takes us to items for individual action. Request approval of the following budget amendments and transfers. In the state and local fiscal recovery fund, carry forward the fiscal year 2023 remaining budget for grant funding as listed in attachment 1. 2, in the emergency rental assistance fund, 2 fund, carry forward the fiscal year 2023 remaining budget for grant fund as listed in attachment 1. 3, in the community development block grant fund, carry forward the fiscal year 2023 remaining budgets for grant funds as listed in attachment 1. In the local assistance and tribal consistency fund, carry forward the fiscal year 2023 remaining budget for grant fund as listed in attachment 1. In the multiple grant fund, carry forward fiscal year 2023 remaining budget for grant fund as listed in attachment 1. B, decrease revenues and expenditures $3 million for the Georgia Outdoor Stewardship Grant. 6, in the Hurricane Irma Fund, carry forward fiscal year 2023 remaining budget for grant funds as listed in attachment 1. 7, in the Emergency Rental Assistance Fund, carry forward the fiscal year 2023 remaining budget for grant fund as listed in attachment 1. 8, establish the capital grant 340. A, increase revenue and expenditures $3 million for the Georgia Outdoor Stewardship Grant. B, increase revenue and expenditures $1,200,000 for the Georgia Emergency Management Agency Grant. Is there a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Is there a second? Properly motion and second that the request be granted. Are you ready for the question? Please cast your votes. All right, thank you. Request board approval to change the current part-time clerical assistant 4 position to full-time administrative assistant 2 in internal audit. Is there a motion?
Second.
Properly motion and second that the request be granted. Are you ready for the question? Please cast your votes. All right. Transmittal of fiscal year 2023-2024 first quarter financial report for information. I'm gonna call on the manager.
Yeah, at this time, I'd like to ask Amy Davis to come forward and provide an overview of our first quarter results.
Good morning,
Morning.
Chairman, Commissioners. Let me get this going here. Well, we usually have a huge package for you, which includes about 3 pages of financials and about 90 pages of SPLOST information. And so this time around, we decided to change it up a bit. We're going to do just the financials, and we're going to let Suzanne present the SPLOST at a later date on a quarterly basis. So basically, all I'm going to tell you about SPLOST is what we collected and so far. So for the first quarter ending September 30th, we had general fund revenues of $20.3 million, expenditures of $62 million. And of course, this is normal because we receive most of our revenue in the second and fourth quarters. In the special service district, same thing, we had revenues of $4.6 million and expenditures of $15.7. For a more detailed recap of the revenues received, the slide 3 breaks down the taxes, $18.8 million and $3.7 million in the SSD. SPLOST collections this quarter was virtually about $10 million a month, so $32 million in the first 3 months of the year, for a total collection fiscal year to date, or I should say inception to date, $314 million. So we're only $85 million short of our $400 million goal. So lost collections were $5.4 million, and of course, same for the year to date.
When does that end?
We are exactly halfway through the SPOS collections.
What was the projected,
The projection.
annual income, since you have an annual number
We
up
were
here?
expecting about 5.1 million per month, and what we have been receiving is almost 10 million a month. So double what our projection was. So the total we anticipate was 400 million. It looks like we may make that by the end of this year.
Very strong.
Very strong.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't want to jinx it by
Yeah.
going
Yeah,
on
don't
too
jinx.
far.
Don't cross your fingers.
Cash and investments, in the general fund, we had 215.9 million, SPOSS 1, 3.2 million. These are not just excess funds, by the way. I want to make sure you understand that. With these SPOSS funds that are in here, they have been budgeted and are meant for specific projects. It's not just money sitting there. 26.4 and 3, SPOSS 4 has 10.3, 5, 9.7, 6, 55.3, and 7, 128.4. And then cash on hand was 9.7, and Georgia Fund 1 was 20.5. And fire service fees, this is a bit outdated. We did send invoices totaling 15.4 million, and as of November 8th, which was 3 days before the deadline, we had collected 29.7 million. Today, or I should say, as of Tuesday, we have collected 7.2 million for an outstanding balance of 8.3. So we've collected about 47% of our fire taxes. And that's the end of my presentation. Do y'all have any questions?
Questions? All right, Commissioner, let me get it down now, so we, all right, Commissioner Farrell is first, and Commissioner Stone. Did I see anyone else? All right, Commissioner Farrell, go.
All right, so with the projected increase in SPOS funding and a projected insufficient funds to build the visionary large gymnasium project that we're looking at, is there a pathway to use some of the SPOS funds in here to augment the budgeted amount of 17 million for the recreation center?
I believe the first 20 million is designated for, what, Linda?
We've got anything over 400 million, 20 million's for the courthouse, trial courts building. Then there's 10 million in there for CETA, and there's another 10 in there. I can't remember what it's
Yeah.
for either.
But yeah, 40
but then,
million
yeah.
has been designated already. But
That's for
anything
the-
over 240 million, it would go to the regular allocation. So we'd get about a third of whatever was over that.
Right, so after we get to 440, it will be based on the last census, the percentages that are given to all the municipalities in the county. So that's the time when we could look at that, if this pace keeps up. The other issue we have are the cost increases in construction. So we've got to factor all that in before we put additional funds in any of the projects.
Right.
But yeah, definitely the gymnasium is a project in sales tax 7. So you can allocate more funds from sales tax 7.
So there is a
for that.
pathway,
Yeah.
should the board choose to allocate unrestricted
Right.
funds from this source to help move this project along.
Correct.
Thank you.
So just playing the other day, I was looking, if we were theoretically collect 600 million, our share would be about 75 million.
Which should,
So it should give us the pathway for both, not only the gym, but also the EOC. We should be able to.
Possibly.
Because they're in,
Possibly.
7, we should be able to move some. I don't know, they don't know exactly how much yet, but.
Right.
There is a pathway, yes,
Right.
that's the answer to the question. There is a pathway, and so.
Yes.
Staff will work that up and then bring it back to the board, and we'll have workshops on that.
right. Well, in the meantime, we need to pick a site and get the site ready.
Right.
We do have the funding for that, and time is of essence.
Okay. All right, Commissioner Stone?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My concern is, of course, are the rising cost of construction. And some of these projects, we may have budgeted X, and it might be X times 2 now. So what impact do you think that's going to have going forward?
Well, obviously, it'll mean fewer projects that we can allocate to. I think engineering has estimated 35 to 40% higher this year than it was just a few years ago.
That's
So it's considerable.
I mean, it's great that we're meeting these projections, but I think we need to be mindful of the rising cost in construction and bidding these projects. I mean, just getting people to submit a bid is getting more and more complicated. So, I mean, one side it's great, on the other side there's still challenges.
And so what I've asked staff to do is that staff is gonna come back, okay, to us, and we're gonna have to prioritize because there are projects that were listed in SPLOST 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 6 that we have not done. Some of them, because of the rising costs, we won't be able to get to, so we're gonna have to prioritize that. So when we get to that point, they're gonna come back and let us know what those projects are and where we go from there. You wanna say?
Yeah, I just want to say that we are looking at that really hard right now. A lot of the projects are in progress. They're either in a design or a preliminary engineering phase, but they're not visible yet. So, you know, we're working on moving those ahead and how we can get that visibility. So I think we'll have that hopefully for the next meeting for you. And we'll look at the time, you know, what else is on the agenda. And before we determine whether we'll do that, give you those quarterly reports in the next meeting. But we are working on them.
Okay, all right. Is everyone? Okay, let us now go on. Thank you, ma'am. And let us go on now to Chief Hadley, who should give us our bi-monthly report.
Thank you. Good afternoon, good morning. Not afternoon,
Good morning.
geez.
Good morning.
Just wanted to say happy Thanksgiving to everybody, if I don't remember, and hope you all have a safe and happy holidays and get to spend time with your families and everything. So again, always thank you for your support of the department and the officers. They truly appreciate it. They really do. You guys have been fantastic. And of all
Chief, use your outdoor, use your outdoor voice, or either give him the hand mic.
Can you hear? Is that better? Do I need to lean into it? Do I need to use my cop voice? My cop voice?
Put your cop voice out.
All right, I'll try to do better, thank you. And Commissioner Hodge, welcome. I didn't get a chance to officially introduce myself to you, but if there's anything that you need or any, just want to kind of download or get to understand the department and some of the things that we are doing, please do not hesitate to ask, and we'll work through Mr. Kegler of setting up a meeting or anything. So I'm at your disposal whenever your time allows you to do so. Yes, ma'am. All right, just a year-to-date update on the Part 1 crimes. Our rapes increased, but we're back to 2021 levels. Those kind of vacillate back and forth. Our non-domestic assaults account for more than half of our violent crime. Our total violent crime is 16.4% above 2022, but 1.6% below 2021. We have decreases in thefts from autos. We do, I believe, have about 55 firearms that have been stolen from unlocked vehicles this year. It's quite a bit down from last year, thankfully. 51 thefts of checks from mail and subsequent forgeries. That has been a growing problem. In my estimation, I'm not sure what the other jurisdictions are experiencing. And essentially what is happening is folks are stealing mail in two ways. One, out of someone's personal mailbox, as you many of us of our generation write a check and send it and put the red flag up, and the mail carrier comes in and takes the check, and it goes to our wherever we wrote it to. They're stealing these checks out of the mailboxes, altering them, altering them and writing them to themselves. And with the technology today and the business practices of banks where you can take a picture and deposit those checks immediately, depending on the particular bank and the, I'll call the firewalls that they have set up. There's one bank, particularly here in Chatham County, that it goes immediately into your account. So we're talking thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. We've been working pretty closely with the United States Postal Service to investigate these incidents. It's pretty voluminous, so when you have, you know, hundreds of cases such as this, it's can take a lot of time. And if you didn't know, the U.S. Postal Inspectors only have 2 agents here in Savannah. So, yes, sir.
Have to have the magic tap to get the mic working, but, are there any incidents where letters are being stolen from the, blue boxes, the post office, where they're somehow getting inside of them?
Yes, there is. I was just getting to that. So those keys go to particular, the blue mailboxes that the United States Postal Service own and operate and maintain. But those keys are, from my understanding, on a regional basis. So one key may fit 50, 100 of them, you know, within a particular region, like, you know, the Atlanta region or Southeast region. Sometimes there's internal theft, so employees of the Postal Service may steal them and or sell them, and then they get into the hands of those that want to steal mail, and they'll go and empty those boxes at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and go through the mail and look for checks and things of that nature. So that is correct. If at all possible, if people can walk into, I know it's an inconvenience, but walk into a post office and drop it inside, that's probably the safest way.
Was there any instances at the village on Skidaway Island of mailbox theft of the public variety, blue box?
I can't recall if there was. I can't say there wasn't. I do know there was on Berwick.
I noticed they were pulling all those boxes off the island. There was 3 of them, and they were signs that they were pulling them up. Was just wondering if that was part of the
I would
issue,
imagine so.
because they've been there a long time.
I would imagine so. That's why they're doing it. And I just heard that, actually, I think Wayne had told me that. So if you can't pay online, if you got to walk into a post office, that's the safest way. But that has been a problem in Chatham County, unfortunately. But overall, we have a 9.4% decrease in crime from 2022, so we're tracking in the right direction. And I'd like to thank my CID unit and all the officers for all their hard work. This reflects the Part 1 crimes year-to-date through November 12th in your respective districts. Those are the aggregate numbers. Just wanted to give a staffing update. It's something obviously we talk about quite frequently. We currently have 33 officer vacancies. We've stayed right around that number for the last 2.5 to 3 years. We're budgeted for 160 sworn officers, so that accounts for about 20% of our staffing. Yes, sir.
What was the original staffing level when this department was started? Wasn't it much lower than 160?
Yes, sir. I believe it was 125.
So if we had the original staffing levels that we started this department with, we would be fully staffed?
Correct.
Thank you.
Yep. So, and what the additional staffing that this board has approved over the last 6 years has been to augment our criminal investigations division and populate specialty units, which we have been unable to populate. Traffic unit, special investigations, some additional patrol, one in training, an additional training officers. So you are correct, Commissioner Farrell, in that if we stayed at our original staffing number, we would be, well, we may be fully staffed, but this is where we're at today.
Well, I just wanted to point that out for the general public so they don't feel like that they may be less safe.
Correct.
That
Correct.
we're in a good position. We could be in a better position. The board has spoken with the budget to add
And that's a great way
more
to frame
positions.
it. That's a great way to frame it. The amount of officers that are out there on patrol in their beats, in the districts throughout the county are relatively the same as they were 6 years ago. Yes, sir. Sorry.
All right, Commissioner Lockett.
Chief, let me ask you this. I know you have 5 potential officers there in training. How many months does it take for that training to be started and completed?
The basic academy is 11 weeks, so it's just shy of 3 months. What we also do, though, is we bring them on up to a month ahead of time to, you know, socialize them in the department. We give them firearms training. We get them prepared for the police academy. That has proved fruitful for us in that we have very, very, very few officers that do not pass the police academy. You know, those that have never been in that type of environment, to expect them to start on a Monday with no kind of orientation relative to that and to be successful really is really unfair to them. So we have a great training staff. They get them prepared, and we have a very high success rate in the academy. So probably to answer your question, Commissioner Lockett, about 16 weeks from the time we hire them to the time they're out in field training.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Whiteley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So Chief, what is our current max staffing level? I might have missed that.
On a daily basis?
No, so initially we were at 125 when we first started, when we first stood up Chatham County PD. What is our number now?
160 if we had, yes, sir. If we had every vacant officer position filled, we would be at 160.
Gotcha, thank you.
Yes, sir.
And now also to add to that too, after we reestablished the police department, we added to it because the traffic unit
Yes, sir.
is a part of what we added to it.
Yes, sir.
And also, those who work with the, no, I'm thinking about, the mental health. Yeah, no, I'm thinking about the mental health part. We established those too, that, the number's gonna go up because the demand for what we're doing is going up. Because we presently have what, one person that works in the mental health field?
Yes, sir.
And we're trying to grow that to 4 or 5, all right, is where we're asking to go. So that's gonna be coming before you, all right? But it's coming because of what their workload is. And so that's why you see the 33 vacancies here that we're trying to put in there. I just wanna make sure they add so everybody know where we're going,
Yes, sir.
okay?
Thank you. Good questions. Moving on, we did have a bank robbery arrest. We had the Wells Fargo Bank in Berwick was robbed on October 27th. CCPD detectives, with the assistance of the FBI, quickly developed suspect information. It's really a team effort. Detective Sanchez, Detective Robbins, and others really got on top of this from the beginning and developed a suspect vehicle through some of our technology. With that, we were able to track this suspect up to North Georgia. Detective Sanchez and Lieutenant Graves went up to interview this individual after he was apprehended up there, and he ended up putting himself here in Chatham County, and also indicated he knew of some bank robberies in Texas, and we were able to identify him committing a bank robbery in Texas as well. So a lot of hard work on the front end, you know, kind of the first 48, so to speak, but they did a fantastic job, and I just wanted to commend them for their hard work. Moving on, Marine Patrol update. With your approval, we purchased some infrared radar for our 4 vessels, military-grade nighttime vision equipment. And what this does, it identifies a heat signal from a boat motor or a person and allows very good visibility for nighttime search and rescue missions. We used for a report of a missing boater one night after the installation of this equipment. We actually had a pretty good summer in terms of boat accidents, but if you can remember, the summer before was really tragic. We had numerous boating fatalities. We were out there assisting Coast Guard and DNR, and this equipment that they had at the time that we didn't have at the time was very instrumental in locating victims, unfortunately, and things of that nature. But with your approval, we were able to equip Marine Patrol with some needed and relevant technology. Also, they've increased patrols and enforcement in Wilmington River near the bridge construction site. Many boat owners along the East Coast are moving their vessels south for the winter, so we'll have a large presence there. Many of these large yachts and captains are not familiar with current construction activities, so we need to make them aware. Patrols making waterways safer for boaters and construction crews. Community engagement, we piggybacked with the Sheriff's Office for Trunk or Treat. So our employees prepared 750 bags of candy and treats to give away to local kids at several Trunk or Treats events, including the Halloween with Heroes event at the Sheriff's Office. Kind of got rained out a little bit that night, but it was a great event. Many community members were there, and it's a safe place for kids to come and get candy and some camaraderie with law enforcement. So thanks to Sheriff Wiltshire for allowing us to participate with him. And we had a lot of candy left over, so if y'all need some, let me know. I'll come drop it off at you.
We'll put out some dishes along here.
We definitely could.
Yeah, the sheriff had a good time with his little remote control car.
That's right. Commissioner Stone showed up, and he had a little remote control car. It was good. And last but not, I got a couple other things. The state accreditation assessors were at the Chatham County Police Department yesterday, going through our operations, policies, procedures, doing audits. In my conversation with them at the end of the day, they were extremely confident that we will get our state accreditation. It probably will be awarded after the first of the year. So we'll get recognized for that. So once that occurs, we'll certainly communicate that to the board and highlight that as an accomplishment for CCPD. This was one of the deliverables that the board put together when we reestablished the Chatham County Police Department back in 2017. It takes time to get there and to make sure that we're prepared to do that. A lot of thanks to Captain Kim Middleton, Sergeant Roger Flannery, and Officer Star Jones, who are very adept at accreditation. So they did a great job, and I think it just kind of highlights our commitment to excellence and our commitment to doing the best that we can do for the citizens and for y'all. So thank you so much for your support.
Commissioner Kickler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chief, I want to first thank you for the outstanding job you do. It's very rare, if really ever, do I hear any complaints about the department. You do an excellent job running it, and I do appreciate you.
Thank you, sir.
The one thing that you and we, all of us, continue to get as far as complaints is always involving 911. I understand from past talks here, the fact that 200, 500 people riding by one accident will dial 911, and it's hard to explain to the public when they're understandably upset that they didn't, they tried to call in and it took a long time to even get through. It's hard to explain that there may be, how many 911 operators are on duty at any given point?
Well, that's a good question. I wish I knew.
Yeah, she was.
Maybe.
She was here. She
Call
left?
takers, maybe
She left?
5 or
Okay.
6.
Okay,
at one
We
time.
can get you that information, so.
all right. Because the public needs to, there's some simple answers to some of these things. We're talking, and I read it online, I see a lot of it online, where on accidents out on the west side, when there's thousands of people passing by, you see them raising Cain but I think it would be helpful to know the number of operators and to be able to give them a simple answer of, look, yes, we're improving it, the chiefs, we've invested a lot of money, we're still trying to hire, that's what I'd like to get a little update on that, of where we stand on personnel now. But, at least be able to tell them there's 5 or 10 people at any given moment operating 911, and when thousands of people that's an hyperbole, but when 10 people, 20 people, 30 people call in riding past an accident, that alone would tie up every phone line. And so if we could get that information would be great. And then I would like to know where are we on finishing the hiring as far as the operators and all go? Do you know that, or do we need to?
I do not. That
Yeah.
doesn't fall under me, so.
Yeah, that goes to the
That
manager.
goes through Diane Pinkney, so I don't think she's here, but I think she said Monday she was looking at an applicant pool of about 20 call takers.
Okay, good. So none of this falls under the chief.
No, it doesn't, although I think in a prior career, a prior place of employment, he was over 911 fire and police.
Correct.
So,
Well, Chief,
but
I'm
we-
sorry for even asking you those questions.
That's all right, but you do bring up an aspect that, you know, you gotta frame it or put it in its proper place. There probably isn't a person under the age of 15 in Chatham County, or very few, that doesn't have a cell phone.
Right.
Right, so you're talking, there's 250,000 cell phones, give or take, or 275, or whatever number we want to put to it, in Chatham County, and everybody's going to use it. And we could never possibly staff for the low occurrence, high risk situation, some catastrophe, some huge fatality on I-95 when, you know, 150 or 250 people witness it.
Right.
So if 250 people witness it and 200 of them pick up the phone and dial 911, there isn't any way we could possibly staff on a daily basis to receive those calls at that moment.
Would you know, since you are experienced in this, is there software out there that when something like that occurs, that the 911 operators could enact, and it would immediately, when someone phones, the computer would pick up and say, thanks for calling. If you're reporting on the wreck at I-95 and so, we have received multiple calls. If you're not calling about this, heck, I don't know. Stay on the line. And then other people would just hang up, and then maybe that would reduce, something as simple as that.
There is technology out there. I mean, there's lots of technology
Yeah.
out there. It's, you know, how, you know, with our CAT RMS, I think there was a reluctance to do anything new until we get, you know, the CAT RMS project up and running and integrated. That's first and foremost. I think that's gonna alleviate some of the issues,
Yeah.
not all the issues.
Right.
And then going forward from there, what other technology exists that, from a customer service standpoint,
Right.
instead of going nowhere or no one answering at all, you go to it defaults to a recording that, and it may be able to geocode it, meaning you're calling from I-95 and 16, and so are, 80 other people.
Exactly.
That might, we realize you're calling from this, this general area, this may be what's occurring. Your call's important to us, call takers are busy, taking other calls. or
Right.
something of that nature.
That would be great. So that's something we can talk to.
Yes.
Okay.
We definitely have a lot of this on our radar. There is a non-emergency phone number that a lot of people use to dial into the 911 center and ask questions not related to emergency
It's not
activities.
emergency.
So we're looking at what we could put there, even with using some AI technology. And they're doing that up in Charleston. So we've been looking into that. I know before the meeting, Commissioner Stone had requested an update on E911, the project for the CAT RMS, and also the EMS, emergency services, ambulances, that kind of thing. So I think what we might end up doing is scheduling some sort of workshop around this where we can inform you guys of where we are, and then also the public of what we're doing, how we're trying to raise pay to attract more workers into the 911 center. There are a number of options that Human Resources is looking at right now, so.
Maybe we could
we
do
are
something
aware.
on video on our channel, just a
Yeah.
small
Oh,
segment
yeah,
on
sure.
what are we doing about 911 or something
Yeah.
to that effect.
Because it's not only
Okay.
911 that we're getting those floods of calls from. We're getting floods of calls of when the EMS, the ambulance arrive or don't arrive.
Right.
All right? And also I called, but they hung up.
Yeah.
So we're putting together now to address, especially this past week, where we had several of those, and in fact.
That would be good
Yeah,
information.
in fact, we had to get with, the MPC, because the addresses out on Burnside Island were tangled up, all right? And so they dispatched them, but they went the wrong place, all right, because of that. So, we've got to get those addresses, and so there are multiple avenues to what's going on.
So on
So, yeah.
a commercial in a sense.
Right, what we're doing
I
is
think that's
putting,
good.
yeah, we're putting together, and we're gonna have all those folks come in.
So we could actually explain how the hospitals are requiring EMS
Correct.
to stay there with the patient.
Yeah.
Which
yeah.
that's another thing the public wouldn't know unless that if anybody is watching this at home, hospitals are
Unless they hear us talk
requiring,
about that wall time.
Yeah.
That's what it's called, wall time.
yeah, they
So-
require the EMS to stay
Right.
with the patient until the hospital staff actually
Accept them.
starts working and accepts them, and that keeps it, once you call, that holds up all of the ambulances.
Well, we've got that coming up, and we're gonna collect that data, and we'll have a workshop for the commissioners as well as general public, because a lot of what's being pointed at the commission
Yeah.
is honestly things the commission don't have any control over. But if folks know, and like I said to Commissioner Stone, when she and I was talking yesterday and the day before, I wish there was a system when people dial in to talk about the cat in the tree, it would take them over to something else rather than tying up the 911 system. But that's the kind of things that's happening, so that's coming forward.
Right.
Commissioner Whiteley, you in?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So first, Ms. Manager, you said the head of 911 is not available today? Is there anybody from that area available?
She routinely does not come to these meetings unless she's on the agenda, but,
Gotcha.
I mean,
Understand.
She was
We'll
yes. She
we'll-
was
we'll
in
do
there.
something,
Right. Can we
we'll do
call her?
something in the next few weeks.
Can we
and
shoot her a
get back
text
to
She
you.
was here, but she left.
Yeah, we
So
can
can we shoot her a
possibly
text or
schedule
something?
that
Yeah.
with y'all after the next commission meeting. I'd like some time to, prep
Okay,
her
I understand.
so that she knows what the questions might be. Also, the same thing with CES around the ambulances, so. because
Thank you.
these are
I understand that.
complicated.
I think that's fair. Chief, I wanted to ask about the homelessness outreach. I know we recently hired a homeless Sergeant Lauren
Lauren Young?
Young, right?
In fact, I got a whole update right here for you.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, so I just wanted to, just for the public's sake, I know my district has definitely been experiencing a lot of the challenges with homelessness. And so I want to just see how that rollout is coming along as it relates to Sergeant Young's efforts in homelessness.
Yeah, thank you for asking. So I did ask Sergeant Young to provide me an update for today, and this is what he wrote. Our SOPs have been adopted and signed for both the homeless outreach and the behavioral health unit. We now have a part-time clinician provided through a partnership with Gateway Behavioral Health, riding with Corporal Rivera Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Homeless outreach in the field is being conducted on a regular basis, and extra time is being spent to try to connect those individuals with services and resources which could provide assistance. CCPD has become a partner with other Chatham County stakeholders in the Familiar Faces initiative to address specific individuals who are frequently encountered by the police department, EMS, and other services in order to strategize plans to yield long-term solutions. At the end of October, we began using Julata, a client management system, allows for all of the officers at the patrol level to submit referrals for individuals needing BHU attention or services from homeless outreach in order for us to follow up with those individuals. Julata allows for the development of long-term individual goals for the client, documents each follow-up encounter, creates a plethora of statistics for us to evaluate, such as demographics and location of individuals, how many follow-ups are conducted, how many encounters resulted in arrest, etc. It also shares information between CCPD, SPD, Chatham EMS, and Gateway Behavioral Health in order to allow each entity to cross-reference clients or services, so we're not working at cross purposes. And all of our patrol staff has been given in-service training on the new role of BHU, homeless outreach, and the implementation and use of Julata for submitting referrals. So he has been very active in the space and trying to be the point person. I know when I get emails from yourself, or I know Commissioner Stone has given us some stuff relative to homeless individuals, it goes directly to him. He is very responsive, almost within minutes, and he's our point person on that. So I think from where he was 60 days ago to where we are today, it's grown exponentially.
All right, so, well, thank you for that, and if I can get a snapshot of that, so when I do my little brief, I do an update after our meetings.
You can have that right there.
All right, perfect, just leave it up there. I get it. But thank you, I'm happy to hear that, and I'm sure the public is glad to hear about some of our efforts. The other thing I wanted to just touch base on in response to Commissioner Kicklighter, as in reference to the EMS and the CAD RMS rollout, I can't speak to the specifics of the rollout itself, but recognizing that I am this commission's representative on the Chatham Emergency Services Board. I just wanted to kind of share a couple of notes, if that's all right, in this. And Chief, you could correct me anywhere. One of the things that Chatham Emergency Services has been working on is trying to share their priority levels as it relates to calls. So when people are making a call to 911 and are expecting an ambulance, you may get an ambulance, you just may wait a little bit longer depending on which priority level you are in. And so I just want to give a general overview of those levels. Priority 1 is a life-threatening emergency. So that's going to be an ambulance or paramedic response. They're coming in hot, they're coming in with their lights on and the sirens. It's normally CPR is necessary. Shooting or stabbing victim, somebody's unconscious, some sort of major trauma or bleeding, as well as respiratory distress. So those are some, not all, but some examples of priority 1 calls. Priority 2 is non-life-threatening but immediate. So the ambulance will respond. They won't come in with lights and sirens. Normally that's, migraines, isolated limb injury, flu symptoms, maybe somebody's intoxicated or dealing with some back pain or something like that. And then priority 3 is a minor issue. In those instances, a non-transport responder might show up, meaning that you'll have some sort of a first responder show up, but they may not come in an ambulance. They're probably not coming with sirens if they're not in an ambulance, unless they're really animated, I'm assuming. Woo, woo. The call type for that would be a use of force check, blood draw, mental health check, and welfare check, general weakness and lift assistance. Somebody has fallen and needs help up. I wanted to share that because ultimately our 911 challenges is a community issue, and so yes, we as a commission play a role in that, but also all of us as a community have to work together in that. Now, when we talk about that CAD RMS rollout, I know there are some kinks, and I look forward to after we have the opportunity to kind of prepare more on that, talking about that. But I do want to share that Chatham Emergency Services is working very diligently to try to work through any kinks that they can control. No system rollout is ever perfect. Ask the fire fee. And so that being the case, we just ask for everybody's patience. All right, so I miss anything, Chief, on that?
No, sir, I think you were spot on. If I could just take a little liberty, I think that relative to the entire public safety infrastructure, it's strained for a variety of reasons. Staffing levels, obviously, everyone's competing for good employees, and we're in a particularly interesting environment here in Chatham County with Hyundai and all the associated businesses and industries that can pay a lot more money than government. I mean, that's just the bottom line, quite frankly. And so that's one. Two, what we do have to consider is we are the hostess city, right? So we might have a population through the census of just under 300,000 people, but think how many people are here on a daily basis and use those services frequently. We might have 400,000 or 500,000 people here on any given day, on a nice day, on a holiday weekend, or it's wedding season or bachelorette party, bachelor party season, whatever the case may be. So our population really isn't what our population is. And those individuals and those people that visit our city and our county use those services quite frequently, and it strains the system. So I do believe everybody's working hard and trying to find solutions. It's not perfect, obviously, and it does create some consternation amongst your constituents. But I do believe that Mr. Kegler and county management, particularly yourselves, are committed to doing the best that we can do within our, obviously, constraints and limitations. But there's a lot of good effort and good intention around making it better, and we have to explore those opportunities as we go forward and do the best we can for the community.
Yep. Commissioner Stone?
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just for the sake of discussion, I appreciate the fact that when I called the chairman yesterday about these repeated problems with 911, and whether it's 911 or whether it's EMS or whether it's shortages or whether it's people not using the non-emergency number, we talked about setting up a workshop to get all the entities here that are involved and that are affected, because we don't know what we don't know. And it's very hard to explain to members of the community what's going wrong. So I think that, Mr. Chairman, I appreciate the fact that we had that discussion and that we will move forward with some type of a workshop or gathering to find out what we can do to make this more as efficient as possible. The second thing, I just wanted to commend you and your team for a presentation that was given down in Jekyll Island for ACCG on the Gelada platform. Corporal Rivera and Ms. McCrary gave an outstanding presentation about what we're doing with our mental health unit, so much so that some of the members in the class asked that this be recorded and put on a official dog and pony show to take around other parts of the state. So your team did an outstanding job, and I just want to tell you it was well accepted, and I was proud to be a part of Chatham County that was giving information that will be useful throughout the state.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it.
Chairman.
All right.
Chairman.
Okay. Well,
I just want to state, man, I love all you guys, but I don't, you know, some people work full-time jobs.
okay.
No, I mean, and something of this magnitude, none of us are professionals in the 911 business. A workshop, we need information.
But that's what
Simply, the public needs information. If we have a recommendation, I just verbally made one a minute ago. We all can phone someone here and make a recommendation and then let the staff tell us what the professionals say, if that can be done or not to help enhance it. I mean, other than publicizing to our citizens what the problem is and what we're doing to fix it, what are we gonna do? I mean, we don't need a workshop on this. We simply need to find out what's going on, and the public needs to know what's going on. And if we pop up with some wisdom as if we're trained in that field that we can share it with staff who would share it with the professionals who are going to implement it. And I mean that in no disrespect. It's just, that's not workshop material. That's information material that the public just needs to hear, and we need to hear what's going on. And I don't see the need for some big workshop. We can simply bring the person that's the head of that in here, let them stand here in a meeting, which I mark out of work to attend, and those who are probably not retired marks out for. We don't need an additional day of missing work for a workshop when this paid employee, whose job is to handle that, can come stand in front of us and simply, while we're on television, and explain these things, and it can be seen by the public who needs to know the information. They can hear it from the horse's mouth rather than somebody non-professional trying to translate what's going on in that field. So that's my recommendation. Let's just bring her to a meeting and ask some questions and find out. I don't see us needing to meet over that specifically.
Okay. Ms. Harris?
Yeah.
You got to play with it.
I was gonna ask if the problems with the 911 misuse is kind of connected to what he said. Do you think it just has to do with like public misinformation, or solely like the lack of people filling the positions at 911? And if so, what is the department doing to offset that and like kind of incentivize people to come to 911 as opposed to these other plans for the job?
So a couple things. I think that they kind of collide. We have a staffing shortage, and we have an overutilization of 911 for things that aren't necessary, an emergent, immediate, or need an emergent, immediate response. Now, the county and this board has been very good in terms of compensation and looking at how do we place a value on that type of work. It's not easy work. It's hard work, and you know, you're kind of locked in a room for 12 hours a day, and you got a headset on, and you're dealing with all kinds of tragedy and trauma, you know, over the phone, and then trying to process that and dispatch the necessary resources that the citizen needs out there in the field. I do think that, and be mindful that, let's say they're 80% staffed. Well then, but then that also ticks below that when people are sick, they need a vacation day. They're, you know, they have to take their kids to the doctor. They have to go to the doctor. I mean, so, you know, we may have an 80% staffing level, but it's really not an 80% staffing level. It's really below that on a day-to-day basis, and it can kind of come and go depending on, you know, the experience of the day. So, and if someone calls in 10 minutes before shift and says, hey, I can't make it because my child has the flu and I need to, you know, and primarily the dispatchers are females of a certain, within a certain age range that have young children or teenage children, and those, that can provide challenges in terms of that. And to fill that position when someone calls in 10 minutes before shift is very difficult. Now, what we have done at the police department to try to assist 911 is we have, I believe, 5 Chatham County Police Department employees that have gone through the training, and they also help with call taking on their off time. They receive overtime for that, but we try to do that as a way to assist Ms. Pickney and 911 in terms of, you know, providing any additional resources that we can do.
Is there a way that you do like a public service announcement for like the non-emergency 911 number? Because I wasn't even aware that like existed before today. So I don't think it's intentional.
No, I don't think so.
I just think people don't really know if any other resources.
Yeah, I think you are correct. I don't think it's intentional. I don't think anyone's trying to, you know, jam the system and misuse it in any way, shape, form, or fashion. I know there has been PSAs in the past relative to that, but perhaps we revisit that in a way that kind of has some impact. Using the non-emergency line for something that's non-emergent is the preferred method to reach out to get resources and not jam up the 911 line. And I'm sure Ms. Pickney will take that recommendation into consideration and try to work with the PIO office as we go forward. Yes, ma'am. Thanks for the question. I appreciate it.
Commissioner Wiley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Harris, I think that was an excellent question. And one thing I do want to add is that I believe it, y'all correct me if I'm wrong, is it 811 now? Is the mental health number? No?
988.
Yeah.
988?
988. That's right.
988? All right, so if somebody's going through a mental health crisis, they can dial 988 to get some help that's germane to that actual field. But I just wanted to share that public information piece. And Chief, do you know the non-emergency number for Chatham County PD? Can you just, I mean, while we're putting out information?
I do not have that off the top of my head.
I was gonna call
should know
811 for mental health, so I ain't mad at you. All right, well,
Commissioner.
I'll Google it.
Okay.
Thank you.
And also understand, and this may go to what Ms. Harris is asking. Just Thursday, a gentleman called, I don't know how he called me on the county cell phone because he had an accident out on 204. And it was the guys in the fire truck who showed up first, all right? And he wanted to know why the fire truck was there but not the ambulance was there. And I told him, I said, well, they're technicians too. Just let them work with you. And so they came in and took his vitals and so forth, and they called for the ambulance to come. But see, he didn't know, he didn't have any knowledge that these guys on the fire truck, whether it was the big fire truck or it was the small truck or whatever, because I wasn't there. I'm just talking to him on the phone. So I just calmed him down to say, listen to them and let them do what they do. But he wanted to know why the ambulance was not there. I want to know right now, I called, we're not calling, I'm in this accident. But when they got through checking his vitals, and they had already called for transport. Okay, so that's a part of what's going on. Everybody's historic. They up in the air because something has happened.
Sure.
And we all know that. So there are multitudes of things that goes in there, and we'll get back with those answers to everybody. Yes, sir. The number?
Yes, sir. So just to share, the Chatham County Police Department's non-emergency number is 652-6500, or more, 652-6500. And I just also want to say, I echo the sentiments of Commissioner Kittleiter. I don't necessarily think that a workshop is necessary, but we do need to be equipped with a strategy to share information with the public and our constituents overall.
Okay.
Thank you.
And also, we're working on now is, we're trying to, that non-emergency number, we're trying to shorten it, so if you can call 888, or you can call 777, or 333, or 111, you know, yeah, well, I don't know about, you see, the thing is, though, you gotta get in the system that's, like, for instance, if you dial 311, you don't get the city of Savannah, all right? So we're trying to figure out how we can do the same thing with the county, okay? So rather than calling 911, call that number. And I don't know if we have to do a combination, maybe we can do a 580 or 510 or something. But they're working on it, all right? So we'll get there. Anything else for Chief now? Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, a short number.
Yeah, and some of these things, when we get into the budget process, I think that's a
Gonna
good
come up.
time to really look at it and see what the best route
Yeah.
is for us.
Yes, ma'am.
And speaking to the budget process, that part of it, when you do roll out information like this, a lot of times it has to come with a marketing component, because you can say non-emergency all day, but you have to define it for the general public, because they don't,
Understand what
yeah,
you mean.
when you're in crisis or dealing with trauma, it's an emergency to you.
Right.
It's not an emergency to the,
Yes.
yeah, so that's important, I think.
All right. May I have a motion to accept the action calendar in its entirety?
So moved.
All right, properly motion and second that the action calendar be accepted in its entirety. Are you ready for the question? Please cast your votes. Okay, we don't have any first readers. Our second reader gonna require that we have public hearing and public comments. The petitioner, Quentin Morrison, is proposing to rezone plus minus 8.74 acres of one parcel from R1, R-1-A/EO, one family residential and environmental overlay, to IP institutional professional MPC file number Z-0923-000-411, PIN number 10219010003A. The MPC recommends approval, District 4. All right, we hear from MPC first. Wait, let me get order, let me get an order set. Do we open up the public hearing first? Or do we hear from MPC first, then from the petitioner, and then public hearing? Either way, okay. All right, so since she's here, let's hear from MPC first, and then, we've gotta have a public hearing.
In the essence of time, can you call a public hearing, and if there's anyone out there opposing this, ask them to come speak, and if there's not someone opposing it, we can approve it, because the person of the district approves it.
We gotta do them one at a time, we can't combine them.
No, I know, but
Okay.
can we start with just a public hearing and not have to go through an MPC presentation?
Second.
All right. Is there anyone here who wanna speak for or against the petition from, Quentin Morris?
We still gotta go.
No, oh, I'm sorry, no, back up. Give me a motion to open the public hearing.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we open a public hearing on this
Second.
matter.
All right, properly motion is second that the public hearing be open. Are you ready for the question? Please cast your vote. Gotta go through the process. Gotta wait on, okay.
Mr.
Now,
Chairman.
public hearing is open. Is there anyone here who wants to speak for or against the proposal in the public hearing? Is there? Let me have a motion to close the public hearing.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we close the public hearing on this matter.
Second.
Properly motion, all right. Properly motion is second that we close the public hearing. You ready for the question? Please cast your votes. All right, now. Okay, let me make sure the procedure is right. I know what y'all wanna do, but I wanna make sure the procedure is right, so I don't want nobody going, no public open records and say we messed it up, okay? Do we have to hear from the petitioner and the MPC?
No.
Let the parliamentary lawyer tell me.
No, you don't.
Okay.
You can ask them if they want to speak, and then if they do, let them speak.
Point of order, for the public at home to know that I'm not just in a complete rush here. We have a written recommendation from the MPC right in front of us. So if we agree to go along with it, there's no reason to have to watch a whole spill on it, in which in this case, we do agree with the written recommendation. So in the essence of time and moving along, handling the public's business, I believe he would like to make a motion to approve this, and we can, as we've done for the last 100 years.
And we're gonna do that, but we're gonna do it decent and in order, and so therefore, we're gonna
Well,
make sure I go,
that's
all right?
the way it was recommended.
Just close it down, calm it down. We got it, all right? Now, let me recognize Commissioner Farrell for a motion.
Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to make a motion that we approve the rezoning as presented on the staff report.
All right, it's properly motion and second that the petitioner be granted the request. Are you ready for the question?
And that's a rezoning of the property from R1A EO to IP.
Right,
Yes.
all right. Got a motion, got a second, or any questions? Got the qualification from the, all
I mean,
right.
I would like just a summary of why this is, the proposal's being requested. I mean,
All right, so that comes under your unreadiness, all right?
yes, sir.
All right, so since you're unready, come on, Ms. MPC.
Just a brief report
Come on, Ms. MPC.
from what, in addition to what I read.
All right, come on, Ms. MPC.
Thank you.
Take your time now.
All right, good morning,
Morning.
Morning.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. Melissa Lito, MPC staff. The petitioner, Quentin Marlin, is proposing to rezone 8.74 acres of one parcel from one-family residential environmental overlay to institutional professional. The intent for the rezoning is to allow the church to conduct outdoor outreach ministry activities that are ancillary to the church.
Okay.
The subject property is located on the northeast corner of Diamond Causeway and Skidaway Island Park Road. The 50 Diamond Causeway parcel is developed with an existing church named Skidaway Community Church. This is the zoning map. The current zoning of the church is one-family residential environmental overlay, which generally allows for one-family residence and allows for churches and other places of worship. However, the requested rezoning to IP, institutional professional, would allow for churches and places of worship as well as ancillary uses to the church. The petitioner is requesting to rezone the subject property to institutional professional, zoning classification with incidental or accessory uses and buildings and institutional uses, civic and cultural facilities, as well as residential uses, and of course allows for churches. The proposed use of the site for an existing church, daycare, and ancillary ministry activities for the purpose of outdoor outreach ministry activities is consistent with the goals and objectives of the comprehensive plan future land use map designation.
May I ask a question?
Yes,
The
ma'am.
location, is this somewhat near the retirement center, the Marshes? You said it was on Skidaway Park Road.
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Okay.
It's adjacent.
The first church on the left when you cross the bridge.
That's what I thought it was. Okay.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
No problem. So it's consistent with the goals and objectives of the comprehensive plan, future land use map designation, and with the residential and commercial pattern of the area. This pattern includes a large retirement community, residential single-family, and a commercial center for Skidaway Island. The subject property is adjacent to residential zoning, institutional uses, commercial uses, and is located at a point in the neighborhood that would not impact the residential portion. In addition, the institutional professional zoning allows for incidental or accessory uses in buildings, which is not permitted in the R1A zoning, environmental overlay zoning district that the property is currently zoned as. Staff finds that the proposed zoning is appropriate for this location.
Okay.
And
Okay.
then MPC is
We
recommending
got
that
it.
with one condition.
Thank you,
All right.
Mr. Chairman.
All right, Mr. Petitioner, anything you need to say?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Nothing that we need to add.
Okay, good. All right, your unreadiness is settled?
Yes, sir.
Please cast your votes. All right, thank you. Let's go on. Amend the land distribution activity ordinance, LDAO, to establish that the tree fund may receive funds paid in lieu of requested tree quality points without tree commission board approval, right? Okay, now, so, can I have a motion to open the public hearing? Gotta open it.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we open the public hearing on this matter.
Second.
Probably motion and second that we open a public hearing. Are you ready for the question? Please cast your votes. All right, public hearing is open. Is there anyone here who wants to speak for or against his opposition to this? Anyone? Anyone? Hearing none, seeing none, may I have a motion to close?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we close the public hearing on this matter.
Second.
All right, probably motion and second. Are you ready for the question? Please cast your votes. All right, now, the request is approved, right? You gotta have a motion to approve. We close the public hearing. All right, so you've gotta have a motion to approve the amendment.
Also move.
I'll second.
Probably motion is second that the amendment to the land district. Yeah, activity be approved. We ready for the question?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, question.
I would like to hear just a little bit about this. I'm
All
sorry.
right, the unreadiness, okay, so,
This is,
Yeah.
all right, well, see, y'all the one who wanted to put your foot on the accelerator, so I'll put it on the brakes now.
we just coast.
Come on, Ms. Cooler.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So currently, the land disturbing activities ordinance is set up to require that if someone needs a waiver of any way, specifically, or a good example of that is industrial, if it's not possible to plant the trees that are required by the ordinance in your industrial area, the way it's set up now is there is a tree commission that has to be convened to make that decision on whether it can be, and it allows for the industry or the applicant to pay into a tree fund that would allow the county to plant trees where it is feasible and allow the county to maintain those trees. So this change to the ordinance just takes out the tree commission. It says, if it's determined that it's not feasible to plant the trees as required by the ordinance, that you can pay into this tree fund in lieu of that, and to allow the county to plant the trees where it is feasible and to maintain them.
All right,
But you feel,
go ahead.
you feel good that we don't need the overseeing of this tree commission?
The tree
I do. In fact, this change to the ordinance is similar to what the city has adopted and gone to, and away from the tree commission there as well.
It'll be much more efficient, too.
All right.
Okay.
Instead of stretching it long, you think it
Well,
narrow and short.
the problem is we've had trouble keeping the tree commission stopped.
Together, yeah.
Together.
All right, Commissioner Kicklighter.
Yeah, I just want to say thanks for the explanation and point out that I too wanted some information on that, because I don't believe that an independent, separate, appointed commission studied that and made a recommendation to us. And I don't believe an individual commissioner here represented this idea solely within his or her district.
No, this is
Was
for the
saying
whole
that they
county.
approve it also with their recommendation. So
No, this is
that's
for the whole
why
county.
I appreciate hearing about that on this. So thank you.
All right, anything else on unreadiness? All right,
Can I take 1 minute to
Sure.
introduce our county arborist, Jacob Henry, who's only been here a few months and was able to get these rewrites written where past arborists have struggled for quite a while. So I just want to give him some acknowledgement for actually getting that done.
all right.
Thank you.
I'm glad you saw where we were too ambiguous. Right? All right, so let me have a motion to adopt the amendment.
We have a motion.
Huh?
We have a motion.
We have a
There's
motion.
one on the
We
floor.
got a second?
Yep,
All
call
right,
for the
so
orders
we
in
got the
hand.
unreadiness done. All right, cast your votes. All right, good. All right, that goes to information, Ms. Manager.
As stated in the pre-meeting, we have a couple of items in the report, the manager's report. One is on the Botanical Gardens lights, and then we also have these nice little license tags people can put on their car that promotes spay and neutering of animals. That's all the information I have today.
All right. There is a need for us to go into executive session for land acquisition, litigation, and personnel. May I have a motion to go? Is there a second? Properly motion is second that we adjourn into executive session. Are you ready for the question? Please cast your votes. Cast your votes. Cast your vote. We're going to executive session. All right?
Mr. Ponce's in there. So if you just talk to him,